Hopefully my internet holds. I'm gonna try and do this. Good morning. It is Thursday morning, the 21st of May. These are the June Tarotscopes for all of the water signs. Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Okay, so we're gonna tap into that water energy and see what's going on in the month of June 2020 for my water signs. I'm gonna switch cameras and hopefully we get through this without any internet drops. Fingers crossed. I don't have a chat box up, so if you guys are chatting to me right now, I'm not going to be able to see it until later when I sign off and go back and check the comments. So, I'm not avoiding you or ignoring you. I just don't have a chat box up because I want to make sure that this video plays through and that I don't bitrate drop and lose my internet signal. All right, so I'm going to get right into it, and we're going to start with Cancer. Okay, so I'm going to switch cameras and start shuffling. If you guys want to, let me just center the camera. If you guys want to support the channel in any way, there's different ways you can support the channel. I do create a lot of free content, but if you want to support the channel with a like, a share, a comment, or a subscribe, that's always a great way to do it if you don't have a lot of money right now. I understand people are strapped. Those of you that may want to support the channel financially, you can go over to patreon.com and pick a subscription. There's different subscription levels over there, and you get the daily forecast a day early. There's also on the higher level subscriptions readings that you get that are only available over there. You can follow me at AngleGuys333. Just give me a follow there. I don't post there a lot on Instagram, but you can follow me there. And then what's the other stuff that I always ask for? Sorry, I'm still waking up a little bit. I've only been up about an hour, but I got up at like before 6 this morning. What else can they do? Oh, if you like any of the decks that you see, generally as a rule, I've been kind of lazy during the pandemic, so I didn't put in timestamps in last month's video descriptions. But every deck that I use, I usually have an unboxing video. You can go to the unboxing video and look in the video descriptions, purchase the deck through Amazon through my affiliate link, and I get a small percentage of the sale. Or you can book a private reading with me through my Facebook business page. So you go over to Facebook and find me on Facebook, and you can message me there with any questions you may have. So these are for my water signs. If you have any planets placed, sun, moon, rising, Venus, if you're interested in love, if there's a big love reading that comes up in a certain sign, then those with that sign in Venus, this may affect. So keep an eye out for that. And again, like I said, this is for Cancer, then we're going to do Scorpio, then Pisces. And for those of you that are air signs that might be watching, those are already up on my YouTube channel or on my business page. I put those up yesterday. So the air signs were done because we just went into Gemini season. So I did them first. So those are up for my air signs. So let's see, what does Cancer need to know for June of 2020? Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, or heavily placed planets in Cancer. My South Node is in Cancer, nurturing motherly Cancer. Now, this center card is what I call sort of like the U card for the month. It just sort of tells me where my Cancers are going to be resonating at during the month of June. It's not, a hard and fast rule, but it's sort of like the general overall vibe of what you will be putting out during the month of June. And not only does it tell me what you're where you're vibrating at, it also sort of tells me kind of what you could potentially be creating. That's the reason why we look at this card. So we have the Knight of Wands. This is interesting because Gemini led with this card yesterday. This was our first card in the air suit. So to me, when I look at this card, this is definitely, and I'm going to say this because it feels similar to what I saw in Gemini's reading, is this feels like my Cancerians are very focused on the future. You guys are ready for the fight, ready to push forward, ready to get some stuff done. I think maybe this pandemic has not taken its toll because I don't get that feeling with this card, but it's sort of like you're like, okay, I'm done pussyfooting around. Let's get going, guys. That's the kind of vibe that I'm getting from this card. Knights, I said this yesterday too, Knights in the court cards, on top of having their own suit, right? This is this is a different knight. They had Knight of Swords. You have Knight of Wands. Okay, interesting. So I got a little confused because the Knight of Swords was rearing his horse. This horse also feels like it's moving in a very direct way into the future, or very focused on the future. Wands is the energy of fire. Knights out of the court cards are also representative of the energy of fire. So we've kind of got like a double fire thing going on here for my Cancers, in the sense that it is a knight and it's the Knight of Wands, which means dynamic action, I would say like choices being made, maybe some impulsivity, but it's in line with your spirit or your desires. I would feel like it feels like you're burning to get to it in a way. Now, do I like the fact that my Cancers are leading with a Wands card, and a Knight of Wands at that? It's like fire, fire, right? Fire, fire. To me, I feel like this is a productive energy for you guys. So any of you guys that have felt sluggish over the last few months, that's going to sort of dissipate in June. It might just be the coming of spring and feeling re-energized, rejuvenated. But to me, this feels very directed, very excited about sort of moving into the future and kind of not taking no for an answer. There's a determination here that I feel like with this Knight that, let me shut the door because the cat's going to start running in 1 second. There's a determination with this Knight that I like because the Knight of Swords, if you saw my air signs, he's rearing his horse. Like, he's like a little bit, I would say, more determined. This to me feels like we're on a nice trot into the future. If that makes any sense at all. But this Knight of Wands is decisive also in his own way, and he knows what he wants, and he's willing to do whatever he needs to do to get there, if that makes sense. So there is a commitment to oneself this month in June that Cancers will be making. Sorry, I need more coffee. There could be a commitment to our environment, the people that we love around us. To me, Knights are of service too. So not only will we be making choices that are of service to ourselves, but they could be in service to those around us too. Being, setting up situations or opportunities for those around us as we're setting up our own opportunities. I do feel like this is about opportunities for my Cancerians though. I do get this sort of feeling of like, okay, I'm done being pent up in the house. I want to start getting back to getting creative. I want to start making things happen. That's the fire energy behind this card. But, and it is going to be sort of in service to either your own mental health, your own emotional health, your own well-being, maybe the well-being of those around you or your immediate sort of circle. But I do feel like it feels like a dynamic and positive card to be leading with throughout the month of June, if that makes sense. So now the next card is the Foundation card. I always call it the Foundation because this is sort of the card from the past that everything is built upon. It's also the memory of this card that keeps everything in place. So this is the Nine of Cups. So this is a water, sorry, I'm tripping over my words because it's so early. I don't normally do these. I usually do these in the afternoon. Nine of Cups is a water element card. To me, this is about a bounty. This is about abundance. This is about, if you look, they have this fatted goose and cakes. They're bringing cakes. There's they're getting ready. They got some stuff. There's servants, all of that. So to me, this, as the Foundation card says to me, that my Cancerians have probably been in their watery energy for a little while leading up to this point. They've maybe worked through some feelings in a very positive way, is my feeling. That's the 9 aspect of this card. 9s are usually about personal completion or coming close to that 10 cycle card, which is about total completion and moving on to the next phase. This 9 says to me that you guys have done some work over the last few months emotionally that has opened the door for you guys to understand exactly sort of what you have going for you, what sort of abundance is around you. Even if you don't necessarily feel as though you have everything lined up, how do I want to say this, materially, I feel like the emotionality and the abundance that's in this 9 is what's promoting the Cancers to move into June with this sort of fiery Knight of Wands attitude of, well, what I don't have, I'm going to go out and get. whatever's lacking or missing, because you feel sort of fulfilled here, or because you've done the work here leading up to this point, June is all about actively going out there and getting it, maybe moving quicker than you normally would, making decisions faster than you would. I would just say be careful about doing anything too hastily, but I feel like that Knight of Wands to me feels like a very positive card for my Cancers. It feels very productive. Like anything that you guys have maybe been putting off or feeling like you haven't been able to get to, it looks like June is the month where the doors open up and you're going to start to actively pursue the creation of that, either through, even if you're doing it from home online, whatever it is, it could be taking a course or starting a new job, or it's just, this is all about that dynamic element of taking action, taking actionable steps towards creating whatever it is that you feel that you want, because this Nine of Cups is this abundance card that is sort of driving you at this point. It's what everything is built upon, is this internal abundance, this emotional abundance, this feeling of quite possibly well-being. Now, I'm not going to say it was always easy. I feel like getting to the Nine of Cups says we have to go through a series of emotions, or the gamut. But I feel like my Cancerians have done that in the last few months. They've probably healed a few wounds, looked at a few ugly sore spots within themselves, and really come to terms with them. And because of that, I feel you guys feel empowered to me. You're like ready to roll and start making things happen in the month of June. I like that you guys are being driven by this Nine of Cups. I like that it's sort of your own internal water element, emotional, abundant feeling that's sort of pushing you forward with the dynamism of this double fire Knight of Wands. So the next card is your Spirit or Soul card. This is the card that's above you. This tells me a bit about what your Spirit or Soul wants in the month of June for you, where it wants you to focus. Interesting. So this is the King of Swords. Now, the King of Swords, this is like double air element. Kings represent the suit of air. Queens are the suit of water. Knights are fire. Pages are earth. So, my King of Swords, Swords is also the air element. So we've got a King of Swords. We've got double air. We've got double intellect. To me, this being in the soul space says to me that your soul wants you to acknowledge how smart you actually really are, is the feeling I get. What an authority you can be, where your knowledge truly lies, where your ability to make clear, clean, decisive decisions, where that lies for you this month. And I think part of that is because up here in the soul is asking you, I love the balance between these three, actually, to be honest. The soul is telling you, look, Cancer, you know what you need, you know how to go about getting it, you know how to think it through, you know how to make clear decisions, you know how to be an authority and be authentic and be like sort of this strong, clear ruler. You can make these decisive decisions and you can move forward in this double fire energy to get those things accomplished, to take actionable steps to get them done. You also are basing all of this on feeling good this month. June to July. Oh, second half of June is Cancerian birthday season, now that I think about it. So no wonder why these cards feel so good to me, because you guys are going to be kicking off the tail end of July in Cancer. So you're heading towards your birthday season too. So that might be part of why these feel sort of accomplished to me, or they just sort of feel equally abundant in both air, fire, and water. And it has a nice balance to it. I like that this feels like any of my Cancerians that are not trusting of themselves or don't think that they have the answers, your spirit wants you to know that you do. And your spirit, or like the month of June, is probably going to present you with opportunities where you're going to have to make clear-cut, decisive decisions and take action on those decisions, right? By maybe even seeing how things feel, using your feelings as a guide, but also clearly discerning in your intellect what's best for you, what's going to get you there quickest. And this is to strengthen you. To me, I feel like this King of Swords sitting up in the spirit space says that your spirit wants you to understand exactly how smart, savvy, cunning even you can be, right? How maybe witty, charming. I don't get a sense that there's any fighting or anything like that in any of these cards. There's actually a nice sort of sense of appreciation of oneself in the month of June. Especially with this king, to me, he feels like at ease. He's standing and he's owning who he is and what he knows. We've got this celebratory feeling of this Nine of Cups, this abundance here where people want to come and celebrate who you are, or you maybe want to celebrate who you are, or have wanted to sort of honor yourself in some way. And then this Knight of Wands feels like he's riding off at a good pace, ready to get what he needs done so that he can have exactly what he knows intellectually he deserves, and he feels as though he deserves down here. I hope that makes sense. So let me go to the outside influences. These are things that are influencing you in the month of June that you need to be aware of. They could be positive or negative. They sometimes represent as people, sometimes events, beliefs or energies that aren't necessarily of us, but maybe we've adopted them or we're being affected by them during the month of June. So the next card. So we have the Seven of Cups. Okay, so Seven of Cups always represents, as the story of the Seven of Cups is there's seven cups with all of these different items in them. You see them reflected here, right? Some are practical, some are scary, some are just totally impractical. I believe even one of the cups has like a castle in it in traditional tarot, which says, is that feasible? To my water signs, though, I feel like we tend to be the dreamers. All signs dream, but water signs definitely can kind of put the castle in the clouds idea out there for ourselves. The Seven of Cups to me feels like there might be, in the month of June, there might be some situations that may feel rather emotional. That's the Cups energy of all of this. And that's where it might feel, okay, that's all right. So we're going to be presented with a bunch of different options throughout the month of June, choices that maybe need to be made that we're going to have to take action on, right? That's this Knight of Wands. Moving ourselves into the future. A lot of these choices might be difficult to choose through. There might two things that we really want may present themselves, or two things that we don't really want might present themselves, and we're going to have to figure a way around them, and we're going to have to use the dynamism and the actions of the Knight to move beyond them. But it's going to challenge this King of Swords, which is exactly what our spirit wants. Our spirit wants us making clean, clear decisions through our own discernment, trusting that discernment, and living with the sort of ramifications or the challenges that presents, and knowing that we are this king, right? So this Seven of Cups feels like the outside influences. There might be a lot of things throughout the month of June that we have to look at, assess, discern. We may have to do it quickly. We're going to probably rely a bit on our emotions because you guys are a water sign, and that's what you do, which there's nothing wrong with that, but it's going to require quick action and precise thinking or decision making that you're going to have to own at a certain level. So if that means sort of removing certain things that don't feel right in your life, moving yourself towards things that feel better in your life, that would be the Seven of Cups. This is the time to do it. And I feel like with the positivity of these three cards coming together, it feels like whatever we choose or whichever direction we go in, as long as we're owning it, that's this King of Swords, and we're doing sort of what feels good, which is this Nine of Cups, right? Like grounding ourselves in what feels sort of intuitively right to us or emotionally right to us, we're going to be fine, okay? The Seven of Cups is not a bad card. It's just sort of a card that presents you with a bunch of options. It can sometimes be confusing, but it's showing you who you are. These situations, these choices are showing you exactly who you are or what you deserve, and you need to really believe in that. Don't settle is the feeling that I'm getting from this card. Don't make choices because that's what you're used to receiving. Go after the thing that you want or that you truly desire to continue to have more of this abundance, right? That's going to almost knock you into that Ten of Cups card, where you complete the cycle of maybe giving yourself stuff you know don't deserve, or you never wanted in the first place, or it didn't treat you the way you thought it was going to when you got it. Now, the next card for the outside influences is the Knight of Pentacles. So Pentacles is the element of earth. Knight is the element of fire. It's interesting. The Knight of Pentacles is always a very slow-moving energy. I almost want to say, I feel like, and the reason why I'm going to say this, I feel like some of my Cancerians may be challenged monetarily in the month of June. And the reason why I say this is I feel like this Knight is facing this direction and that Knight is facing the future. And so there may be challenges for some of my Cancerians that may come up around money issues, material wealth, that sort of a thing. Like things may not want to move fast enough for them. Does that make sense? Like that Knight of Wands in the center feels like you guys want to move quickly towards the future, maybe even hastily so. You'll feel this surge of energy, this desire to want to move forward, this desire to want to get things completed and done. This Knight of Pentacles feels like he sort of blocks you a little bit. It almost seems like if he was sitting here, he would be stopping you completely from getting to your goal, but that's not the case. I feel like money might be slowing you down a little bit is the message that I'm getting from this card. Feeling like we might have been struggling with money leading up to this point, or maybe have been dealing with some money fears. This Knight of Pentacles is here to teach you and educate you. I don't think he's like dangerous anyway. Maybe he's a bit frustrating, but he's also here kind of annoying you a little bit in an effort to sort of keep this fire burning in the center and moving you forward, forcing you to make the hard decisions that you need to make in the month of June to get you where you want to be. He challenges you to be this King of Swords. He challenges you to sort of step into your power intellectually and use your discernment to make clear, concise decisions and to live with the actions of those, not to sort of be fearful of them. I don't know if my Cancers have been fearful of making really definitive decisions, but this month, June, feels like this is the month where we kind of not only make the decisions, but like in effect move forward no matter what. And we're not going to even let finances or the slow trickle of finance scare us. Does that make sense? It may be an issue. So like in the month of June, if you get midway through June and you're like, oh shit, I want to do this, but I can't afford to, that challenge is there to present you with an opportunity to either use this fire energy to find a way to afford it, or to find a way to make other decisions to get yourself there. But I do feel like whatever you're doing with this Knight of Wands in the center, you're not going to fully take no for an answer. That's just not the option that I'm getting from these cards. I do feel like this Knight of Pentacles is educating us. I almost feel like he might be there to balance us a little bit with this double fire energy of this Knight of Wands in the center. We might have an earth sign friend. This could be a Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn who's trying to help us with money situations. We would see them as an equal, so that's why I feel like it could be a friend or maybe a business associate, a co-worker. I don't feel like it's necessarily a romantic card or a connection. I feel like if anything, this person's trying to slow you down, and maybe not necessarily in a bad way. They might be trying to ground you a little bit in your energy so that you can get your finances in order. But this could also, like I said, present as some of you just dealing with financial issues or worries that slow you down or make you feel like, ooh, I don't know if can I move in that direction? Can I make these decisions to continue to pursue that? The overall feeling I get is yes, you can, with these three cards being as strong as they are in the center. But again, you have to clearly make that decision and go after it. That's that Seven of Cups. You have to feel that you can get there, right? So this last card is what I call the potential outcomes. This card tells me a bit about sort of where the month of June will end up for you guys, barring that nothing major changes. This is not set in stone, guys. This is just sort of like it gives us an idea of where things are naturally heading. The good thing is that this is where they could be naturally heading. We don't have to do much to change it if it's a positive card. If it's a negative card, we can always take heart in the fact that we have free will and we can make choices and changes to affect this outcome so that this does not have to come to pass if it's a card that we don't like. Okay, so this is the Ace of Swords. So I love this because this feels like success to me. If our soul's goal for us is to act as if we are not act as if, but to really step into this idea of being the King of Swords, by month's end, not only are we acting from this place of like authoritative, authentic discernment, we're able to move forward in this clarity and in this inspired new way of thought. And what I do want to say here is, if you look at this, there's this beautiful angel. She's totally focused towards the future. Do you see that? She's like, onward ho, like, let's get going, let's move, like, we're empowered. The sword is pointed directly towards the future with, to me, clear, inspired thought, inspiration. This could be inspiration around business, opportunities, relationships, whatever that is. We're going to feel rejuvenated even more so by the end of June, is my feeling. It also mimics what we've got going here in this Knight of Swords, Knight of Wands, him leading with that wand. Do you see that? It's almost doubly powerful at that point because we've combined this sort of energy of this forward movement of the fire of the Knight of Wands, coupled with the double air, which air feeds fire and fire burns up air. They are complementary energies, even though they're not of the water earth, which is more in our wheelhouse, right? This is us exploring these other aspects of the four elements, right? Enhancing them, especially at a level of knight and king, right? So to me, king is like full ownership, right? So much so that by June, we end up somewhere in this place of Ace of Swords, which is even better than a king, right? To me, this is new inspired thought. This is onward, forward movement. This is the clouds parting. This is us feeling guided even. Some of us that are more spiritually inclined or that work with guides, this angel could definitely be our own spirit guide or our guardian angel, sort of moving us along the path. And it's also, aces have very sort of swift, fast-moving energy. So does fire, and the element of air, right? So we've got fire represented here. We have air up here and ending on this ace of Swords, air energy, forward movement into the future. So my prediction for my Cancers is that by the end of June, you guys are going to feel inspired. You're going to feel like you're moving maybe even faster than the beginning of June. Things are going to become clearer. That's this Ace of Swords. Things are going to become more defined. There's going to be a lot more hope for you guys. I don't feel like there isn't hope at the beginning of June. I feel like there actually is a lot of hope. Although there's this fiery determination here, which says to me that you guys might have be coming out of a period of frustration or having dealt with some emotional stuff that you've kind of completed and gotten to a good place with. And you're about to start to begin to create more abundance, right? And so in doing so, you're utilizing this fire energy and this air energy to propel you forward. And it's going to move you into July, and I have a feeling that July might be also a very significant month, but that's also the other half end of Cancer season, so that would make sense too. So we'll see what happens in July's predictions, but to me overall, it feels like my Cancerians are going to have a very productive month as long as you guys stay on track. If you don't get too stuck in the decisions that need to be made, or if you hold back and slow down due to maybe money, allow some of this fire air energy to propel you forward this month. Even if it feels faster than you're normally used to moving, allow it to move you. Because it feels like the movement or what you guys are progressing towards is going to be pretty awesome. I hope that makes sense. I know that it's sort of a vague reading because it is for a lot of people that might watch this video, so I try and keep it sort of wide open. You have to apply sort of where these cards mean or represent in your life or what it is that you might be working towards or on. But if you want a more specific reading tailored to you, you can certainly contact me at the Facebook business page, and I can look at your month of June for you or any subject that you would like. All that information is at my Facebook business page. Feel free to message me there, and thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to now move on to Scorpio. Okay, let me shuffle for Scorpio. Thank you guys for tuning in. For those of you that just tuned in, I do not have a chat box up, so I'm not avoiding you. I just cannot see what people are saying in an effort to hopefully keep this stream going. Because when I do these signs by the elements, lately my internet has been dropping out, and I hate when that happens. So this is for Scorpio. If you want to support the channel, please go back to the beginning of the video, and I do my whole how you can support the channel spiel there. And let me see what's up for Scorpio. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, heavily placed planets in Scorpio for the month of June 2020. I learned that my Pella, I believe it's called, it's an asteroid, is in Scorpio. And what I believe that is how I relate to men. Which is interesting, because Scorpio is a wild sign. Scorpio rules sex, death, and regeneration. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Also very psychic sign, too. So I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But I've been learning where my all of my planets and nodes and all that are placed. It's interesting stuff. I love studying it. Okay, so now for my Scorpios, my beautiful, sexy, crazy Scorpios. Let me see what's going on with you guys. Now, this first card is sort of where you guys are going to be centered at during the month of June. It's not necessarily the entire month of June, just part of, in and out of this sort of essence of this card throughout the month, right? So it gives me a little idea of kind of what is going to happen for you guys in June and what you could potentially be creating for the future. So, you guys have the Hermit. Okay, Scorpio. So, the Hermit is not a bad card. It is Major Arcana. It says to me that you guys might be brooding a little bit. You might be a little bit pissed off. The Hermit isn't necessarily pissed off, but when I think about this associated with Scorpio, it could feel like you guys sort of putting up walls or hiding. In essence, to protect yourself or your own sensitivities, maybe not wanting to deal with the world right now. I don't get that this is a bad card. I feel like there's a lot to be learned here. I love that he's sort of praying to the moon, which is his intuition, and his cave is lit by this fire that, to me, looks like the fire within, right? Like he's sort of learning more about himself by going inward. The Hermit is always this, it being Major Arcana says that it packs a bigger punch. It carries more energy to it. It carries more significance to it. So this says to me, if this is where you guys are at in the month of June, there is some transformation that's going to be happening internally, right? There is some discussions that you might be having in your own head, in your own dialogue with self, that is allowing you to not only know yourself better, but to understand how you operate, what you want, get clearer on sort of where you want to be. To me, this card also feels like my Scorpios might be shutting out the outside world, not just like pandemic style. We've been all doing that during the pandemic, but this is more like almost being so tired of the pandemic that you're just like, fuck, I don't want to deal anymore. Excuse my language, but that's kind of the feeling that I'm getting from this card. It's like, I need me. I need to get clear on what I need. I need to get clear on where I want to go. Some of you, I'm also feeling as I'm looking at this card, some of you who might be in a relationship, I need to do me right now. And not like breaking up. I'm just saying that you need to sort of back off and take that space. This to me feels like a very significant, important breather that needs to be taken for my Scorpios so that you guys can get your strength back about you, your wisdom back about you. I'm not saying it's not around you, but this to me feels like a strengthening of that. This to me feels like an opportunity to bring about more of that. To center yourself in a way. Maybe this pandemic has been a little bit, or whatever you've been dealing with during this pandemic has taken a little bit more of a toll on you than you would want to outwardly admit or show. So you're kind of taking this time for yourself. To me, this card actually speaks to like the idea of self-care for a lot of you too, in that idea of sort of shutting out the world and getting right within, okay? This next card is, and it's significant, guys. This is not like, this being the Hermit says to me that this is a period, that's why it sort of goes into the realm of self-care, I feel like, and self-acknowledgement, self-understanding. All of those sort of things are impactful, and I believe truly healing for you guys, and they will be empowering. They just take some time, right? There's this sort of energy of like isolating oneself with this card so that you can kind of get clearer in your own mind, in your own heart, in your own intuition, or at least more clear, right, than where you're at, say, in May. Okay, so June, this is the theme for you guys for June. This is a powerful theme. This is not a lot of the cards. I've only done the air signs so far, but not many have led with a major arcana. We haven't seen a lot of major arcana happening as of yet. So you guys are the first one, I believe, with one in your center space, which says to me the theme of June for you guys is deserves to be paid attention to, even if you're living a more sort of isolated or quiet, solitude-based month, okay? The next card is the Foundation card. This card tells me a little bit about what was sort of going on in the past. It lets me know why things are the way that they are today. So this is the Seven of Pentacles. So sevens are always about sort of making choices, sometimes changes in our life. It being a Pentacles card, this is earth energy, and this generally surrounds the idea of money, finances, relationships, things in the material world. To me, this feels like there has been some choices that have needed to be made, maybe financially, maybe relationship-wise for my Scorpios. I feel like this Seven of Pentacles feels a little bit stressful or unsure. To me, it feels like choices have needed to be made that have challenged you in a way in the last maybe say month or two or three leading up to this point. I feel like that's part of this idea of the Hermit, of going inward and kind of getting clear again. To me, this horn, he's blowing on a horn, but to me, this feels like my Scorpio's been drinking a little bit too much. Because when I'm looking at that, it almost looks like a wine bottle to me. And I'm getting this hit that I want to like discuss with you guys. All right, have you all been hiding in your house with a bottle of wine for the last few months, like worrying about money or relationships and feeling a little bit stressed out at the sort of home level? You know, this being a Pentacles card, to me it speaks to this idea of having to make maybe some hard choices or some decisions around what's working and what's not. Clearing some of those things away, maybe letting that stress or that worry or that focus be your lead for the last few months, and you're tired, right? And that's this Hermit card where it's like, okay, now we need to sort of like go inward and figure out what is going on within us so that we can start to create positive, how do I want to say this? Like, so that we can sort of understand our own strengths and our own abilities so that we can move forward and create more self-assured or positive outcomes. This Seven of Pentacles to me feels a little bit uneasy, a little bit unsure, a little bit, I'm going to just be honest, I don't necessarily love this as your guys' Foundation card. It feels a little bit like rocky or shaky at the material level. Like maybe some of you guys have lost your jobs or during the pandemic, or maybe had to cut away your relationships, or you're questioning your relationships, your friendships. This Hermit period, right? This month of June is about turning that around. I feel like that Hermit card is about going inward and finding those answers within ourselves so that we can clear away any sort of uncertainty that still might exist in the Seven of Pentacles, that might be kind of residue that's waiting around, that I feel like we need to shed or get rid of, be free of. The Hermit energy is going to be what teaches us or brings us to that ability, that place where we can do that. But we don't want to go too much into this. Like, I don't know why I'm getting this sort of sense of worry. in this Seven of Pentacles, but I do get this sort of sense of worry that maybe my Scorpios have been worrying a bit. And it's hard for you guys not to, right? So what I want to suggest is like meditating on this idea of going inward and finding these answers within you, knowing that you're okay, that you're actually stronger than this Seven of Pentacles. This Hermit card is way stronger, way smarter, way more grounded. And so if you explore that in the month of June, I think that it has the power to transform you and to also get you away from any of these sort of unsteady feelings that you might have in your material world. The next card is your Spirit or Soul card. This tells me a bit about where your Spirit or Soul is at and what it wants for you in the month of June. Okay, so this is the Devil card. I love this card because he's riding this black cat, which to me is just so bizarre. And there's like a turkey. It's like really wild. All right, so this is always to me, the Devil represents sort of the things that we don't want to look at, the shadow side. And when I look at this Devil card above you in your soul space and the Seven of Pentacles below you, and then you've got this Hermit in the middle, it's like my Scorpios feel like y'all need a break. You all need to like sort of do this self-care, go inward. Your spirit is showing you what you need to deal with, where your fears lie, where your worries are, where, like, I'm just going to say, like, if you're being lazy, it's going to show itself to you in very big ways. If you're being addictive in any way, shape, or form to, like, say, foods or drugs or liquor, like I saw this liquor bottle down here in this horn, right? To me, if you're doing any of that, your spirit is going to turn it out for you, Scorpio, in the month of June. It is going to show you everything that's not working and why. That's this Devil card. This is not necessarily a bad thing. This is about showing you where your demons are. This is about showing you where are the things that you need to sort of slay, conquer, fight against. And it's not necessarily a fight, because the Hermit is not a fighter. The Hermit is the one that goes inward and looks at the shadow and learns from it. He's facing the moon, right? Which is represents the shadow. So to me, the Hermit's here in this card, he's sort of praying to the moon and touching with, sort of touching base with his intuition. And look at, there's a skull. I've never noticed a skull here, but there's a skull here which represents death. But then we've got this growing vine next to it, which represents rebirth or growth, right? So in this process of doing this Hermit work, where we go inward, we look at our Devil shadow side. We look at the things that are worrying us from the past that we might still be carrying with us into June. And we start to address those things at a deeper internal level. We're going to gain strength. We're going to gain, like authority in our life, dominion in our life. The things that maybe haunted us or scared us or challenged us, maybe things that we were ashamed of, things that we were avoiding because we didn't want to deal with it. Those sort of things are being required to be looked at. And if we don't, I kind of feel like with this Devil card, like he is going to make them bigger. He's going to make them more exemplified. This is not a card that's going to be ignored, is kind of my feeling. So, and there's that phrase that I always use that says, let go or be dragged. This is that feeling that I'm getting from these cards. Is for my Scorpios, you need to let go and go inward and look at this stuff. Or else this stuff is going to like tie you to this cat's tail and run all through your life in the month of June and mess with you, right? And this is sort of a big card. The Devil is not to be ignored, okay? It doesn't mean any of my Scorpios are possessed, although some of you guys act like you're possessed because you guys can get crazy and vindictive and all of that. And don't get me wrong, I love me a Scorpio. I love my Scorpio female women. I get along with you wonderfully. Some of my best girlfriends of all time have been other Scorpio women. But I will say this Devil card is here to show you, your spirit wants you to see all this sort of like, all your weaknesses in a way, And Scorpio doesn't like to be weak. I think that Scorpio, as far as the water signs is concerned, is the one sign that always wants to convince you it's a fire sign, right? It's the one water sign that's like, I don't cry. But then you lock yourself in a bathroom and cry for 3 days. And then feel bad about it. You guys can be extremely strong, extremely resilient, sometimes to the point of, your own detriment, if that makes sense. And I feel like that's what's going on here, is it's like, your spirit wants you guys to see where you're shortchanging yourself, where you are not looking or avoiding seeing what's not helping you at this time. And in doing that, right, through this hermit work, in doing that, you'll hopefully be able to transform this devil card, address these issues. That's going to alleviate the uncertainty that we feel in this sort of 7 of Pentacles, and sort of resettle you at this new place of being able to trust yourself and understand yourself wholeheartedly. This is a big lesson right here, the devil and the hermit. And I'm not saying that I want you guys to hide away in the month of June, but you guys do need to take this self-reflective, period of going inward and addressing anything that causes you any sort of shame, any sort of worry, any sort of doubt in yourself, those sort of things. That's this devil card. And it being sitting up there, to me, it feels like this is a big month for my Scorpios. For those of you, it's like that Mission Impossible phrase, if you choose to take this mission. This is what I'm hearing in my voice, when in my head when they open that letter. To me, that's what I'm hearing. It's sort of, I can't think of the phrase right now, but I'm hearing that that thing from the letter, if you choose to take this mission. That's these two cards together. It sort of feels like there's a big ass payoff for Scorpio, but you guys got to do the work, and this is not easy work. But you guys are about sex, death, and regeneration. Right? Those are 3 real serious, that's what you guys rule, right? So that's sex is creation, death is death, regeneration is, the regeneration of that. It's sort of the full cycle of life, death, and rebirth, right? And so to me, it's there's not easy, you Scorpios like your lessons kind of rough and tumble, and that's what this feels like to me. But if you get in there and you get rough and tumble and you do the work, the opportunity is there for big transformation. That's that devil card sitting in the spirit space. This is like slaying some dragons that have been holding you back for probably some time. And they're just kind of getting bigger and bigger, and I feel like the visual I'm getting in my mind's eye is it's like the elephant in the corner of the room that nobody wants to look at. That elephant is getting so big that there's no way you can fit it in the door to get it out of the room. You're going to have to address it in the month of June, or else it's going to wreak havoc. And it's going to be for your own good, don't get me wrong, because it's in your spirit space. So this devil card is not a bad thing. What it says is that your spirit is going to give you exactly what you don't want until you start to address it. So if you guys find yourself being frustrated, feeling unsure, racked with self-doubt, those sort of things, uneasy, that's because your spirit wants you there. Because your spirit wants you to go inward and get strong and get in communication with it, connect with it, and then let's slay this devil together. I hope that makes sense, Scorpio. All right, so the next 2 cards are the outside influences. These are things that are influencing you in the month of June. They can be people, sometimes events, sometimes things more vague, like beliefs, belief systems that we adopt, or energies that are around us that we need to be made aware of. They can be either positive or negative. Oh, beautiful. So we have the Justice card. So you guys, depending on what your other outside influence is, I'm going to say this is a friggin' significant month for the Scorpios. Hermit doesn't feel like super action card. It's internal action. I want you guys to understand that. So if there's a lot of reflection happening for you guys in June, if there's a lot of meditation happening for you guys in June, if there's the letting go of vices, the letting go of insecurities, all of that happens internally. That may not feel like we're being super productive in our material world, right? That's the 7 of Pentacles, but that's okay. There's a transformation that's happening internally that's far more impactful, that's going to have far longer longer standing results than we understand. This Justice card also speaks to that idea. She is this positive influence of the element of air and sort of this idea of coming in and bringing to us what is fair, what is right. Maybe we've been dealing with screwy situations. Maybe we felt like we've been wronged in the past. Maybe we've had to step away from relationships. Whatever that is, I feel like the month of June is going to bring us a better understanding of that if we take the time to go inward and really look at everything, look at our motives, look at why we did what we did, what choices were made, why were we treated the way we were treated, are we still holding on to something that is from the past that had nothing to do with us in the first place. Justice is going to present us with those clear eyes to be able to see this stuff. But we have to get quiet and get centered into this hermit space to be able to even honor the gifts that are coming in with this Justice card. She is going to give you a clearer vision. She is going to give you the opportunity. It's almost to me, like I'm just going to show you, the hermit has his back to her, right? He's connecting with himself, but she comes in with this sword, and I feel like she's bringing us this sword and the stability of this pillar, the strength to slay this dragon or this devil, right? So to me, and our soul wants us to see this devil. Our soul wants us to sort of get in control of not in control of this devil, but to like release our fear of it. Does that make sense? And so I feel like Justice is this beautiful, powerful card that's stepping in to show us exactly who we are, why we've done what we've done, and to understand it from a more non-judgmental position. Does that make sense? And so embrace her when she comes. Embrace these opportunities or these experiences in the month of June that give us a clearer perspective, even if they're painful to look at. Justice, she brings with her the opportunity for, justice. But sometimes that comes, I don't want to say that this comes at a cost because I don't feel like it will for all of you, but I do feel like sometimes that requires us to look at things that we don't really want to have to see, or we have to acknowledge things that maybe we've done that we don't really want to acknowledge. But I feel like if we do that work, and that's part of this Hermit card, if we do that work, we end up with the gifts that she presents, the strength, the clarity, the justice, right, that she brings with her. And it's significant. She's Major Arcana guide. She's not a joke. So she brings with her many gifts if we're willing to be brave and do this work. Now, the other outside influence, if this is another Major Arcana, you all are in for, oh, yep, it is. You all are in for a ride in June, Scorpios. It's not a bad ride, though, but you have one of my favorite cards of the deck. This is the Star card. I love this card. I don't think I've ever really looked at it. It doesn't come up very often. Star card is one of my all-time favorite cards, but I love this version of it with this angel. Look at her. She's gorgeous. Okay, so to me, the Star is all about compassion. To me, the Star card is all about love and that sort of like light within us that we're able to shine, right? And when I look, what I love about this is that you're surrounded by these female presences, right? You have Justice, who's strong, but also that softness of femininity. And then you have the Star card, which to me is this sort of female angel. This could be a guardian angel. This could be a spirit guide. This could be our own spirit, right? But this is about, when I look at this, he's praying and he's facing sort of this angel. I almost feel like we're getting in touch with our own higher self this month. This could be our higher self. This could be our guardian angels, the archangels, our guidance system coming in to assist us during this period of healing. They know, and this is going to sound a little bit like out there, I guess, but your guides, your guardian angels, the spirits that support you, they know what you're dealing with here. Your spirit is saying, I want to be free of this devil. I want to be free of this bad behavior, whatever it may be for you. If it's laziness, if it's, compulsive spending, if it's getting yourself into trouble by spending too much money when you know you don't have the money that you're spending, whatever it is, stop judging yourself. Stop, I feel like, I want to say with these cards, it feels like these ladies are coming in to help assist you to stop abusing yourself, Scorpio. However that abuse may come through. If it's mental, like maybe we're overly critical, maybe we are, abusing ourselves with alcohol, or hurting ourselves through experiences we don't want to experience, if that makes sense. Like maybe we're hurting ourselves by being overly reactive to situations, and we end up acting in a certain way that we don't like, and then we feel embarrassed or ashamed, and then we judge ourselves for that. These two cards here, the Star card and Justice, I feel like they're coming in to really lift you up this month. Oh, this is making me want to cry. I don't know if somebody out there is watching this and crying, but I all of a sudden feel really like this release. Woo! Hold on one second. I need coffee. Oh! Ah! Okay. I feel like you guys have got this if you want it. I feel like these two ladies here, Justice and the Star card, are coming in for you guys. I feel like this is... I feel like this is Spirit coming to your door and helping you guys out. And if this is only just for one Scorpio out there, maybe I'm only speaking to one of you, I don't know. I feel like this message needs to get through to you. They want you to stop hurting yourself. I think you want to stop hurting yourself too. That's this Hermit card in the center. I think that you've been maybe judging yourself or giving yourself too hard of a time for too long, and it's time to stop. Your own spirit wants you to stop. That's what this Devil card is doing up in your spirit space, is it's trying to show you where you're not acknowledging what's good and beautiful about you. And that's what this Justice card is about, and that's what this Star card is about. It's about... The Star to me is about having that compassion for oneself. Opportunities where our angels or our spirit guides will come in and show us exactly how we shine and the beauty of that. That's what he's focusing on here with this moon, is he's learning about sort of his own beauty, his own light. That's this flame here that lights his way through the dark tunnel, through the dark times. This is the opportunity where we get to let go of the staff. We get to let go of this cane that maybe we've been relying upon, whatever that cane may be. If that cane is, a bottle of wine at night or sex with random dudes, who knows what Scorpio's up to. Y'all got the devil in your spirit space. And I don't judge. I'm a Pisces. I get just as freaky as the rest of you all. But, whatever this is, we kind of can let go of that cane, that support, and sort of find it within us and move forward in a way that's empowered by the month's end. All right, so this next card. Sorry for getting emotional, guys, but I don't know why, but I just got this. I feel like maybe somebody was watching this, got emotional or something, because it just plugged right in. This next card is the Potential Outcomes card. This card tells me a bit about sort of where the energy is going to naturally head in the month of June for my Scorpios. This is not necessarily set in stone. I want you to understand that. If this is a negative card, we have choices and free will. We can use this as a warning to make choices and changes to affect this outcome so this does not have to come to pass. But if this is a positive card, we can take heart in the fact that we're naturally heading towards this outcome, barring that nothing major changes. So let's see what our outcome is. Oh, beautiful. The Ace of Wands. Wow. Okay. So what I instantly see with this Ace of Wands is a freedom. What I instantly like, how her arms are open, how she has the strength of that wand at her back, right? That big giant wood wand there. Do you see that? She's open. She's back in the world. She's able to see herself. Aces being the card number 1, right? This Hermit is this month where we take time to reflect and we allow Justice and the Star to kind of come in and work on us, show us aspects of self where we can give ourselves a break, where we can slay some of our devils or the darker aspects of the self so that we can be almost forged in the fire that the devil lives in. And that's this fire that I feel like we've been cleansed into this Ace of Wands. Wands are the element of spirit, also the element of fire. To me, this feels like going through the fire and facing what we don't want to see in the month of June enables us to stand in the purity of who we are at a deep spiritual level and really appreciate that and understand that and be inspired by that. Aces are always about inspiration, right? To me, the Ace of Wands is about that sort of inspiration of spirit, that connection to oneself, that clarity of knowing that much better who you are, what you stand for, what connects you, what you desire at a deep spiritual level, and not having any sort of misgivings or trepidation about that. There's no more like sort of self-doubt or insecurity. But this is at a deeper spiritual level, right? This being a Wands card. So that says to me that when we get to this point, all of a sudden this energy or this emanation comes out of us into our world. What can we create with that is where my mind goes. When we believe in ourselves and we're inspired at the level of spirit, what starts to be created for us? And watch how in July and August, this card begins to change into something completely different, because we're living in this Ace of Wands space by month's end of feeling connected to ourselves at such a deep and profound and inspired level that it's almost like I get this, the visual that I'm getting is I feel like she's walked through the fire and the flames have purged her. I know that sounds a little bit weird and biblical, but I feel like she has walked through the fire. She has looked at all aspects of self, her demons. She has allowed justice to come in and exonerate her. She has allowed the star to come in and heal her and teach her compassion again. And she is like almost reborn. And again, we're back to that Scorpio principle of sex, death, and regeneration. This is the regeneration aspect of this card, where she is like, there's a serious rebirth happening in June for my Scorpios. If you choose to take this mission, I need to watch Mission Impossible and hear that phrase, because that phrase is saying it again in my head, even though I can't hear it fully clearly. But it's like that. If you choose to take this mission, there's a huge amount of transformation to be had for my Scorpios. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Please leave me a comment, because I'm interested in knowing if that does resonate with any of you guys. Have you guys been harder on yourselves of recent? Do you need to face some things that you don't have to get specific and talk about your deep dark secrets or anything like that. But just let me know with a comment whether or not this makes sense to you guys, because this feels rather profound. This feels like profound through hard work and through a serious hard look at ourselves, but the goal, the benefits here are bigger than anything that I've seen thus far, and I've done 5 of the 12 signs so far. So June feels like I saw transformations in some of the air signs, but this feels very profound. And so this could be, I don't want to say a struggle or a hard month for Scorpio, but this could be a very transformative experience at a very deep level. So don't take that for granted. Okay, I'm going to leave you with that. Please give me a like, share, a comment, or subscribe, and let me know if this resonated with you. I look forward to hearing how your guys' Junes go. I am going to now move on to Pisces. Thank you so much for tuning in. Wow, what a reading. Okay. All right, so hi Pisces. Hi, my home sign. How are you guys? Thank you for tuning in. If you guys want to know how to support the channel, please go back and watch the original beginning of this video. There's different ways to support my channel. If you would like to, I would love to have you around here. I love Pisces energy. I am not only a Pisces sun sign, but I have a Pisces Mercury is in Pisces for me, and my Venus is in Pisces. So talk about romantic. Oh my God. And weepy at that. But I love Pisces energy. So I love doing your guys' sign. I always get excited. I love doing all of the signs, but I really am probably especially particular to the water signs. And then on top of that, basically Pisces, y'all are my favorite children. Just because I am one of you. So let's see what's going on for June 2020 for Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising. or Venus or heavily placed planets in Pisces. I also want to say this, you guys, last month's reading, I remember being really bang on, like, great. And so I hope that you guys had a wonderful May or are still in the midst of having that good May. Because I remember the reading for Pisces, I got super excited for you all. I was like kind of blown away. I think actually last month, Pisces reading was what made me cry. Not that it doesn't take much, but Scorpio's got me so far. Scorpio had a beautiful reading. So what does Pisces need to know? Oh, by the way, I don't have a chat box up, so I can't see your comments. If any of you are commenting, I will go back and try and watch them. But I just didn't put up the chat box because I didn't want to lose the signal this morning. I'm trying to get these done every morning. Tomorrow, I believe, will be fire signs. I have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure fire goes next because I think Leo is after Cancer. I can't remember, or is it Virgo? I'll have to check. Whichever sign follows after water, after Cancer, will be the next group to go. And for those of you that normally watch me on the daily forecast, I will be launching today's forecast after I finish this live. So thank you for being patient. Okay, so this first card for my Pisces are where you guys are going to be centered at. It gives me sort of an idea of, I don't know, how June is going to sort of vibrate for the Pisces people. This also gives me a little insight into not only where we're at, but what we're also potentially creating for the future. So that's why we look at it. This is sort of like the center of your universe. Okay. Hey, Justice card. We just saw her in Scorpio's reading. So that's interesting. We might be helping out some Scorpios in some way, shape, or form. If this is where we're centered at, we might be there to support some Scorpios. You may want to watch Scorpio's reading if there's any Pisces that have significant Scorpios in their life. You may want to watch Scorpio's reading that just preceded this because there was a definite influence of the Justice card and the outside influences. This being our center says to me that June is going to maybe be a very significant month for Pisces. It's one of the, I think Scorpio was the first sign to show up with a major arcana as their center. Pisces now being the second. I just want to acknowledge that because I haven't seen that in, I don't think the air signs. I saw like maybe one major arcana here and there over the course of the three airs. So I want to say this. When I look at this, this feels like Pisces standing in their truth. I need to go back and watch May's reading because I know that there was a thing about, I almost feel like we ended on the Ace of Swords. I feel like there was this clarity that we were experiencing. And if I remember correctly, this is the sort of culmination of that. I'll have to go back and rewatch May's. But to me, this feels like us standing in our truth, standing for what's just, standing for what we know to be true, being strong, being clear, being precise. I don't feel like there's a threat here at all. I feel like we know who we are, we understand who we are, we stand in that with clarity and strength, and we sort of honor that through the month of June. Does that make sense? So this feels empowered, this feels impactful, this feels strong, this is not, like I hate when people call Pisces wishy-washy, but unfortunately we can be. We have that sort of the duality of the two fish swimming in different directions. What is a beauty and what can be a curse and a blessing for Pisces is we have a tendency to see things from all angles and we have a hard time making a choice. With this, I don't see that. This Justice card says to me she is strong, she is clear. Her sword is facing downward, which says to me, do not tempt me, bitch. I will cut a bitch if I need to. But we're not going out there aggressively, right? We're not going out there forcefully. We're going out there in strength, which is this pillar, in balance, which is the symbol for like Libra, but these scales that she's holding. To me, I feel like we're feeling very balanced, centered, grounded through the month of June, okay? And justified in who we are, what we know, fair. There's a fairness about us in the month of June. Those of us that might be involved in other people's problems, we might be the one that is the mediator throughout the month of June. If we're dealing with, say, I don't know, issues amongst friends and their boyfriends or family members fighting, this card says to us that we are going to be the strong one or the supportive one to be able to sort of help others through that situation. there's a clarity to this card, I feel like, in the month of June. I like this card. I feel like this card leads us into July in an empowered state, but we'll look at the rest of the cards and see where the rest of the month plays out. Now, the next card is what I call the foundation card. This sort of lets me know a little bit about what's been going on in the months previous that's led us up to this point. It's also sort of the memory of this card that holds everything in place. So this is the Seven of Wands. So for me, Wands is the element of spirit, and sevens usually deal with like significant choices that need to be made, things that need to be sort of settled so that we can get into the balance of the eights, right? When I look at this card, and this card came up in yesterday in one of the air signs, to me this looks like a deal's being struck. To me, this looks like somewhere along the way we made a deal, and I always feel this with this card. Wands being the element of fire and the element of spirit, this always feels like either a guardian, spirit guide, our own self, our own soul, and like this is us in our material body kind of meeting and communing and sort of, for lack of a better term, like working shit out, right? Coming to the table and doing a business deal is what this feels like to me, but at a spiritual level, right? So for some of you, this might be talking to your guides. For some of you, this might be actually talking to your own deeper spirit, your own self. But I feel like that is what's driving this, is making that choice to sort of face that down, to have that conversation, to make that spiritual connection, to allow that spiritual connection to sort of grow, to consciously pursue that spiritual connection. So I don't know if my Pisces have spent, I don't know, the last month talking to their guides, sitting in meditation, communing with their spirit, but I would imagine that's the case because we have this Justice card as our center. All of this work, of all of these choices that we've made, maybe at times they've been hard, but they've been choices that we've gone ahead and put our neck out there, or we've taken that chance. They're paying off, Pisces. They're paying off in the sense that they've strengthened us. I gotta open my door because my dog wants to come in. 1 second. They've strengthened us, and they've given us sort of this internal wisdom and awareness. Where are you? I hear you out here. Okay. They've given us this eternal wisdom that we now have in this Justice card to lead us through July. Okay? So I just want to acknowledge that and say that this opportunity or this decision that we made to sort of trust our own spirit or our spirit guides, to me, it's enabled us to get to this place of this Justice card where we have a clearer sense of who we are and what's right and what's good in the world. Okay? The next card is the Spirit or Soul card. This tells me a bit about where your spirit or soul is at and what it wants you to look at or deal with in the month of June. So this is the Knight of Swords. Interesting. So the Knight of Swords, to me, is the element of air, which is swords, right? Which is the intellect, but being powered by the Knight aspect, which is fire, which is spirit. Right? So the Knight of Swords to me is about the connection of spirit and intellect coming together. And that's a powerful combo. And I want to show you guys this card. When you look at him, because this was significant, I believe like this was Gemini's center, if I remember correctly. And what I liked about this is this horse is sort of rearing back and getting ready to sort of head off into the future. No holds barred. Sword drawn, clarity, being of service, definite like sort of, not a water energy, right? But this is the element of the mixture of air and fire, which are the signs that, which are the elements that we're not super familiar with, right? Or that they're not our home base sign, right? Our home base element is water. And then our complementary element is earth. This up here in our spirit space is our spirit saying, no, bitch, I want you to mix your fire, your spirit. I want you to take your intellect, your smart little brain, and your fiery little spirit, and I want you to mix them together and lead yourself off into the next adventure, right? That's what I feel like spirit wants for us. That's the fire and the night, and then the air and the swords. And so it being the Knight of Swords, it's kind of like this excitement to move forward, to create more at a spiritual level through our intellect, utilizing the strength of this Justice card, the knowing of who we are, what we stand for, all of that being the center. It enables us to sort of bring in this fiery energy of this Knight of Swords and use our intellect to sort of propel ourselves forward, right? We're also basing this on making this decision to sort of really honor our spirit, connect with our spirit. And I think that there was something about that that made me cry in last month's reading. And that's sort of what I see in this Seven of Wands, is this sort of communing of who we are, facing ourselves. And this is similar to sort of what I was kind of seeing a little bit in Scorpio's reading. And Cancer is also dealing with the element of double air, double fire. So it's interesting that Pisces is sort of also got this going on in the spirit space. My water signs are... y'all are going through a transformative thing too in the month of June. So... Knights are of service. Pisces love to be of service to humankind. I mean, that's one of the most beautiful aspects of us. We can tend to be romantics and we tend to be martyrs. We can tend to like sort of cut off our own nose to spite our face if we're not careful. But I don't feel like this Knight of Swords feels that way to me. To me, this feels like he's excited. There's an opportunity to move forward. He's ready. He's willing. New information. Generally, Knights bring about new information that we were otherwise was not made aware to us. This could be around our own strength. This could be around our own ability to move ourselves forward. But our own spirit wants us to acknowledge this aspect of ourselves and to utilize it to go forward in service, not only to ourselves but to others, in strength, empowered, feeling ready for the challenge. This Justice card speaks to this idea of she will support us. At this level, we have the strength to do this at this time. We also have this spiritual connection as our foundation for moving us forward. So utilizing those things in this month of June and acknowledging them and really pursuing them, the more we acknowledge them, the stronger they get, the more like right they become, the faster we can sort of move forward. And combine that sort of our intellect with our spirit and bring that forward. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. The next two cards are the outside influences. These cards tell me a bit about what sort of might be influencing you in the month of June. They can be people, events, sometimes things more vague like belief systems or energies that are having an effect on you. Let me see. So we have the Four of Wands. Fours always represent stability, like four legs on a table. This is about like sort of the grounding and the bringing in of this fire energy. This is the grounding and bringing in of our spirit is what I feel like. This is sort of this deal that was made in the months previous where we've made some sort of commitment to ourselves at a spiritual level or to our guides or, you know, whatever work we're doing, if we're taking on more spiritual work or more spiritual connection, it's starting to shine its way through. This is asking us to use our intellect and our discernment, right, with this Knight of Swords to move ourselves forward. Now we're going to get opportunities to sort of stabilize this spiritual energy or this spiritual connection. And I feel like with my Pisces, this is a good time to do it with the pandemic and everything going on. This might give us new opportunities of seeing new goals, new foundations that we can be building within our spirit or within work that might be spiritually related. But it's allowing us to sort of build. There's a building happening here. These guys are planting these four swords in an effort to kind of, stabilize themselves, protect themselves, whatever. To me, that's what this card represents, is that connection to spirit is going to get stronger for some of you. If some of you guys, I get a feeling like if some of you guys have taken on mediumship, any sort of like divination, any sort of spiritual work in the recent months, that would be this card here. This is the stabilization of that or the better understanding of that. This is like utilizing our intellect and that spirit to sort of move ourselves forward. And this is like we can trust ourselves in the center of all of this. We have her grounding. Justice is grounding all of this in the month of June and pushing us forward, if that makes sense. So, any opportunities, this speaks to the idea that there's going to be opportunities for you guys to get centered, grounded, and connected to your spirit even more deeply, even more profoundly, and in ways that I kind of get a feeling it could start to sort of pay off in a way, or become like all right. This is a Four of Wands, right? And what I'm seeing, or what I'm sort of trying to convey here, is that I feel like these two guys are planting these four wands and they're stabilizing this connection to spirit, right? They're putting it into the earth. The earth aspect of this card feels to me like we're connecting that spiritual energy of the wand into the earth. Therefore, it's almost like we're grounding it into the earth and creating, bringing that spirit, why am I having a hard time describing this? Bringing that spiritual energy into the earth plane. And from that, I feel like there could be monetary benefits. That's the earth that they're planting this into. It's taking me to this place of the idea of pentacles, or the energy of pentacles. This is like the joining of heaven and earth and the experience of that. Now, I'm not going to say that June is like the big payoff month where, oh my God, money's rolling in. But I do feel like June is the beginning of stabilizing this sort of etheric, heavenly, spiritual energy that we've been connecting to. Justice is certainly strong enough to be the channel, right? And so we've got opportunities that are coming at us from around us that are allowing us to sort of stabilize this energy, putting ourselves out there, grounding it in the earth, and from that, we're going to start to see the benefits of that maybe in the months to come, okay? That's the best way to describe that. The next outside influence is the Knight of Pentacles. Okay, here's that earth energy. And this is that fight between sort of, I don't want to say fight. It's not a fight. This is a blending of spirit and earth. Can you go pant somewhere else? Like, I don't need Darth Vader action, or lay down. So this is that blending of spirit and earth that I was just talking about. This Knight of Pentacles shows up and he kind of speaks to this idea of slow movement, of the idea of, he is that fire energy, right? But he's that earth energy. So we have this blending of earth and fire happening on both sides of us. He's bringing us new information. He's bringing us new opportunities. These opportunities may move a little bit slower than we want to, but that's okay. We can ground in this Justice card. Hold on. You all need to go back out. Come on. I'm having a hard time concentrating. I'll be out in 5 minutes. Thank you. I feel like this is mirrored on both sides with both of these cards. This is this blending of fire and earth. Okay? I know this sounds kooky. Maybe I'm like getting a little too far out there for some of you. But both of these cards also, I have to say, represent stability. The Four of Wands on the fire side, and then the Knight of Pentacles on the earth side are both very stable cards. Any of my Pisces, I'm going to spit this out to you right now, any of my Pisces that are thinking about doing spiritual work or questioning it or contemplating it, have been making choices towards it or kicking around the idea, I'm going to say this: get on it, kids. Because with Justice in the center and the Knight of Swords as your spirit sort of goal, or what it's focused on, it feels like the opportunity is here to begin to build the foundations, the strong, stable foundations, to start to connect these two realms, to connect how our spirit manifests on the earth, how our spirit, how we shine into our earth plane existence. And then there is this aspect, I'm going to just say this, there is this aspect to this connection bettering our monetary or material situation, okay? If that means through a better job, if that means through the making of more money, if that means through a better home that's more suited to our needs, this to me feels like us lining up with that. It's gonna be a slow process. That is this Knight of Pentacles. He sort of slows down the process a little bit and keeps it balanced. But that's okay. Justice, she's in no hurry. She knows who she is. She can just stand here and be honored and do the honorable thing. And my Pisces, you guys will do that. And because of that, I feel like it's almost like the phrase that's in my head is, it's like taking the slow road to get there makes it almost all the more real. It's kind of like the tortoise and the hare. We don't necessarily need to go the route of the hare. If we take this more slower, methodical approach and we're connecting to this, to our own intellect and the fire of that, and connecting the spirit to the intellect and being truly creative, we are going to create something that will be sort of long-lasting, impactful, spiritual, grounded in the earth, right? And the melding of those two energies helps us to kind of like support ourselves financially through spiritual work. And I think that that's what some of you are trying to do. I certainly am trying to do this, but I'm also not trying to put myself into this reading. But that's what I'm seeing in these cards. So I think that there might be others out there that either you're trying to do spiritual work or you're trying to do work that makes you feel more spiritually connected, right? So like, let's say, I'm just using this as an example. Let's say one of you is a nurse, right? And that's what really makes you feel connected to humankind. And you feel like you're doing service and you're being, you're inspired by that. Then that's what you're sort of stabilizing and continuing to do. And you're bringing your spirit to that function. You're letting your spirit shine through. You're treating it with the sort of respect and the justice that it deserves, honoring that aspect of yourself, using your creative mind and your spirit to kind of come through and make you the best nurse you know how to be. And because of that, there will be a material benefit as those two connect. Does that make sense? It doesn't have to be like we're all tarot readers or we're all this. Maybe this is about music for some of you. Maybe some of you create music and that's what turns you on spiritually and excites you and lights your fire. Well, as you take the opportunities in the month of June to ground that music and that spiritual connection that you have to that music into something palpable and real, like maybe cutting a track or doing, those of you that are artists, making that painting, right? Actually bringing that spiritual energy in, grounding it into the earth by putting that paint to the canvas. You're going to see that that's going to be rewarded. It may take some time, but it's going to be valued. That's this Knight of Pentacles, right? I do want to say this. You have fire on this side, right? Fire being balanced and grounded into the earth. You also have earth over here being pushed by fire. So there is a bit of an equality, although the Knight is bigger than the Four. So I'm going to say the Knight has a little bit more edge or heft to him, so he may slow down the process a little bit, but there is this nice balance of the outside influences, both bringing to you exactly sort of what your spirit is looking for here, which is this opportunity to connect the creative mind with the spirit and start to head towards this new endeavor. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, guys. So this next card is what I call the potential outcomes for the month of June for my Pisces. This is not set in stone, guys. This is just a potential outcome. I always say this: if it's a negative card, we can use it as a warning to make choices and changes through free will to affect the outcome. If it is a positive card, we can take heart in the fact that this is where things are naturally heading, and we can just allow things to be, and we will hopefully arrive at this card by the end of the month. So let's see what this is. Interesting. So this is the Knave of Wands. Knaves, again, it's this earth-fire connection. Knaves represent the earth, and wands represent fire. Knaves always are about learning, they're about growth, they're about exuberance, they're about excitement. So by the month's end, we're going to find ourselves probably a little bit giddy with new ideas, giddy with spirit at work, teaching us how to sort of bring things about in the earth plane. Does that make sense, guys? I hope I'm not being too esoteric, but that's where this is taking me. This Knave of Wands is, again, this earth-fire connection. These two elements are big time at work for my Pisces in the month of June. The only place where I don't see this earth-fire is in here, but we've got this fire, intellect, air sign going up here in the spirit space, which to me is totally fine, because it just feels like spirit wants us to marry those two and allow those two to propel us forward. And with the strength of this Justice card, as we do that, we're going to learn how to sort of ground whatever it is we want spiritually, whatever it is that turns us on spiritually. We're going to actually be able to go after it in the month of June and begin to start to learn how to make that a reality for us. So like I said, whether it's painting, whether it is music, whether it is, teaching children, or if it is spiritual work, if you guys are wanting to read cards or work on, being a medium, whatever that is, whatever connects you to your deeper spiritual self and makes your sort of heart sing, this is the month to really explore that and really open yourself up to that. Be fair to yourself, be just with yourself, acknowledge yourself for who you are and what you deserve. And this is her center, right? This is this idea of acknowledging that and then allowing that to be sort of what we ground in, so that we're opening ourselves up to the pursuit of what it is that turns our soul on fire. And when we allow that sort of light to shine and we ground that into the earth and stabilize that, our environment is going to meet us. Our environment is going to help us. The Knight of Pentacles, the Four of Wands, these are beneficial cards that want to assist us. And by month's end, we're in this Knave of Wands, which is this idea of still learning about the suit of fire, still learning about our connection to spirit. Look at him holding this flower and learning how to grow it, appreciating its beauty, being excited by it. This is how I see Pisces by the end of June. There's this opportunity for exuberance, excitement, like new experiences are opening up that are exciting us both on a material level and a spiritual level. Like we are connecting. It feels to me like my Pisceans are connecting spirit with earth, spirit with money. There's this opportunity here to connect the two. Now, I'm not going to say y'all are going to be instantly rich in June. That's not the case here.